Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I got a big box of parts. It's so big I can't even fit it in here. I got more parts over there, but today I'm doing something a little different. We're playing with an engine. If you're new to the channel or a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends if you think they'd be interested in what I normally do, is like race car stuff or just car stuff or engineering, welding, fabricating, you name it, I do it. I do everything myself, so I share it with the world, or however many of you subscribe and watch. Either way. Apologies for the microphone. I don't have a good one. This is the best one I got. I'm trying. I don't have a million subscribers on YouTube to buy nice professional equipment. I'm using literally a cell phone and something I bought off of Amazon 2 years ago. That out of the way, I got this old motor sitting here. And I don't really have any use for it because the rules in our racing classes kind of, well, have outgrown this. So I figured, I got a project coming up in, I don't know what time frame it's going to be honest with you. And I want to build something kind of fun for that project. I've shown it on this channel before, but I've never really gotten to work on it in any real capacity because I've just kind of run out of steam, and the race cars take up all of my time. So, and the house and the family and everything else, I mean, just, there's no time for it. So I got this motor sitting here. I can't use it. It's still fresh. I've already gone through and checked to make sure it wasn't rusty or, falling apart or anything bad. It's just an old race motor that we've had sitting on the shelf for years. I mean, I don't even want to know how old these spark plugs are. What are they anyway? I think it's an AC Delco R44TS. Oh yeah. Oily. So that's good. So I got it just kind of hanging around here, and I got this giant box of parts here because, well, I'm going to hop it up a little bit for this hot rod project that I got going on behind the scenes, and hopefully it'll do good in that. So I'm going to start taking it apart and I think we're going to do camshaft and lifters because this is kind of tiny. I want something a little bit more for the street, and this will take up to I think it'll take up to 500 or 500 thousandths of lift, however you say it, 0.500, half an inch, I guess. So I got something a little smaller than that, and I'll show you that in a minute. But we're going to do, this oil pan really sucks. I think it's cracked. It's just on there to keep dust out of it, basically. I don't think there's a pump in it. I'm not even sure. It's a nice hot rod motor at this point, so I've always wanted to do engine stuff on the channel, and now's the perfect time. You can tell I've already been in it. I've been looking around, making sure that there's not any mice living in it, which I still don't have guarantees of at this point, and that the exhaust valves are still good. It looks like I'd already winterized it by taking all the valves and loosening them. So thankfully, all the valves are closed the whole time it's been stored, which it's been stored in here, so it's not terrible, but I pulled the spark plugs out and I could literally tap them on this cover here and rust would fall out of it. But I look in the cylinders, there's no water molecules or droplets, there's no rust. So I sprayed everything with Marvel Mystery Oil and just kind of rotated it over and then sunk a bunch of Marvel into the exhaust ports just to, make sure that the exhaust seats were not doing anything stupid. But I got my tools out from the other night when I was scraping stuff and testing cleaning products and stuff. So I'd either rate I'm going to get you in here. We're going to start tearing this thing apart. I don't think the cylinder heads are going to come off. I think basically just the intake, the oil pan, and we're going to make it a lot better for our project that we're going to be doing way later on down the road. So this will still be sitting here when it finally comes time. Maybe, you know, in 20 more years I'll probably get to that one, but we'll see. So we'll dig into this and check it out. So like I said, it's an old race motor, probably 355 cubic inches. It's got a tiny cam. I think our old lift rule was 390, 410. But I got a new one sitting over here. I think it's like 474 lift. It's, I believe, a 112 lobe separation angle, so it's super streetable. It's not going to idle weird. I think the duration is kind of small too. It's probably like a 230, 240 something duration. Nothing crazy. Lift is good. Duration's not, you know, crazy. Lobe separation angle should idle fine. We'll stuff that in here. I got some lifters with it. I got them on sale from there. No free ads, but I also got a nice cheap oil pan from there too. I think it was like $100 something bucks. And it's, you know, if I take the whatever, I almost gave it away, but whatever project, if I take that somewhere and do some fun stuff with it, like down a drag strip or something, it won't slosh or do anything stupid. Like I said, I got the exhaust ports plugged back up again with some rags so that the Marvel doesn't come flying out like that on the floor. And we'll start rotating this thing around and getting underneath it first. I want to get to the oil pan first, and then we're going to put it back on top, because this is our old intake that we used to run. It's just a Edelbrock, nothing special, cheapest dual plane, most streetable, whatever the hell it is, intake, and it'll work great on the street. So I'll probably slap an Edelbrock 4-barrel on it because I got one. And I technically rebuilt it. I don't think I did a very good job because I don't know Edelbrocks whatsoever. They're like old Webers. But I'll probably take this block off because I'll block whatever exhaust crossovers in it when I put it back together so that the 4-barrel fits here. But it should fit, and I'll put that on here. But otherwise, we're kind of going way too far off in the future with this. So why don't we dig into this real quick? Oh, this thing is pretty scongy. There is a lot of oil on this. I don't think there's an oil pan gasket in here, per se. I don't even know where this pan came from. I think all of this is just kind of residual oil that's leaked out of the motor from when I stuck it in the corner, I guess. I'd love to go over here and look. Well, it doesn't look like there's anything even on the floor, so... Oh. Yeah, there's the dipstick side. This is definitely the wrong pan. Oh, shoot. Wait, did I buy the right... I did buy the right pan. Sorry, I'm second-guessing myself like usual. But, like, I saw the kick out over here, and I'm like, did I buy the wrong pan? And then I had to flip it over in my mind, and I'm like, no, you did. You bought the right pan. Anyway, don't mind me. So my brother got me this for Christmas, and it's actually pretty rad. You can just kind of bang things off. By the way, I got him for Christmas one of these. This is from Harbor Freight. No free ads, like I said, but it's this, like, super thick silicone. Yeah. Super. They make these parts trays and tool trays and stuff. It's really thick. It's kind of really nice, actually. You know what's also pretty awesome? They gave me all brand new bolts for the oil pan with my new gasket kit for this. So that's pretty awesome. Two more. Whoop. Okay. Moment of truth to see if we got an oil pump in this thing. Yep, no gasket. Lots of oil. Hey, there's a pump in there. Smells like Marvel. That's good. I think that's the only oil that we had in this thing was Marvel. And boy, is it everywhere. That's fine, though. That's probably what we needed. But I still got to clean it off anyway. So yeah, this thing looks really nice. I have no clue what's in it. Because, well, I was never really privy to that sort of information when we were racing, for whatever reason. And it cost me a race once. But then again, that's in the past, and I forgive everybody involved because, well, if you hold on to things your entire life, what's the point? Because then all you do is just make yourself miserable. So this oil pump looks fine. I will, you know what? I'm not entirely confident that this thing has... I think there's a little gasket that goes between the pump and the block, or at least this main cap here. So, hang on a f***ing minute. This is a 2-bolt main. You mean to tell me I was racing with a 2-bolt main block? I'm glad it's going in a street car, I guess. At any rate, I remember this engine, though, and I ran a lot of races with this thing, and I don't remember having any issues with it, so, whatever. Like I said, it's just, this is probably why I was never left aware of things, because if I had known that this was a 2-bolt main, you know, I probably would have been like, so, when are you giving me a good block? Anyway, like I said, it don't matter no more, right? So, we'll get her cleaned up. We'll probably pull this off just to check it, because this new pan that I got requires a different pickup than this old-ass factory one. And this thing is kind of gross. I mean, I don't like... Maybe I'll take this off and throw it through the part washer or something, but it looks like it's tack welded on. So I'll probably have to pull this whole assembly off and make sure that there's a pump gasket, or if there needs to be a pump gasket, all that sort of stuff. So we'll get to working on that. But this thing, God, I gotta tell you, it looks really nice in there. Quick status update. I pulled this off, and I noticed that it doesn't have a little copper gasket in here, which would really give me a lot more peace of mind. Not really sure if you need it. Would really like to have it, because if you're unsure, it probably needs one. Also, the pump drive here, it looks factory, like it's got plastic coupler. I don't like that. I'm probably going to order a gasket and a new pump drive that goes to the distributor. They're like 15 bucks. They're cheap enough. The gasket's cheap. I'll call Speedway, get that ordered up real quick. So this will take me a couple more days before that gets in. But here's the pan that was on it. Again, I don't really like these. It's not a very tall sump. For street use, yeah, you don't need no windage or nothing, but like, it doesn't have a heck of a lot in the way of like baffling to keep it from sloshing forward. And I do want to take this vehicle that I'm going to be putting this in to maybe drag race tracks, or, you know, just to say that I did it. Maybe on some kind of hot rod cruises or something, maybe someday. Again, this is way off in the future, but this is just the kind of stuff that I wanted to show you. Either way, oh boy, I'm falling over here. I went to Napa, got an oil pan gasket, because I like the one-piece ones, and it fell out. That's okay. It's not like I'm going to lose it. I'm going to pull everything out of here anyway. Here's some lifters. There's some more that fell out. Here's some lifters. They're the same brand as the camshaft, and they're just, you know, hydraulic, flat tap it, whatever. They were on sale. Got some gaskets to change it out with. There's some more stuff. I think this is an oil pan gasket here too. Whatever. Oh, nope. There's the other thing that I dropped for those gaskets. Too much packaging. All right, I got to give somebody some credit because this is the front timing gear gasket, but it's also all of the other ones. Like, look, let me put it down. You got the timing gear gasket all the way around. But you also got the fuel pump gasket. Well, actually, here's the fuel pump gasket, and then here's the other fuel pump gasket. And then you got the water pump gaskets, the distributor gasket, and then the water net gasket. Like, everything just got, bam, stamped out of one piece, and then they just kind of shipped it off. That's cool. Never seen that before. So here's the oil pan we're going to stick on her. It's pretty clean. Kind of nice. Got a little bit more baffling there just in case I feel like taking this thing to the street strip, whatever, drag and drive. I don't know what the hell we're going to do with this new project that we're going to be doing, but it's not going to be a lot. Either way, it'll protect it if I do feel like throwing corners around or something, but either way, I think I'm going to pull the pump off, get that cleaned up, and take that tack weld off on that pump pickup there so that I can put the new pickup on, because I got to put a different one on for this thing because I guess that stock thing is too big. But I'll just throw something together to button this up, make sure it don't leak oil all over the place, and I got to order some parts. Got the new oil pump drive and gasket on the way from Speedway. It'll be here next week. Luckily, I got plenty of time to work on this, considering we're about to get a whole bunch of snow tonight. That's awesome. But I got the cheapo Gonna Breako puller put on here. So that's good. Every time I try to tighten it, it basically stops and rotates the engine over. So that's always fun. One way to counteract that is if you do not like your timing cover, or timing pointer, I should say, take a pair of vice grips and just latch it onto here and let it butt up against it like I did with my old Cummins when I did the dowel pin of death. Or if you're a sane person, you just jam something in there like a pry bar or whatever into the crank back or whatever. Or you can take the vice grips and just kind of stick it on one side and then crank with your other hand if you're a monster like me. But I'll probably end up stripping out this Harbor Freight puller and cursing a lot, and then going in for the night and drowning my sorrows in whatever takeout pizza I can find, even though I'm trying to lose weight. Let's see what's under here. Oh, I think I lost the cam bushing, but that's probably down in here somewhere. Wow. Yeah, double roller, real nice. I'm gonna have to clean that up. So yeah, definitely not changing that. It's run, but it's not bad, so we're just going to take this off. I'm not going to take the lower off because I don't need to. We're just going to spin it to 0 first, and then I'll take the timing gear off, probably reset it. We'll start taking the intake off at some point. Very clean, pretty typical, very standard. Small block Chevy. No bells, no whistles, no frills, no mess, no muss, no fuss. Intake gaskets look good, nothing's leaking. Some oil from when I tipped it over, but never got into the intake manifold, or intake runners, I should say. Runners are as cast, so that's good. That didn't get screwed with. Not like it matters, but Yeah, so like I said, crossovers are blocked, which, you know, people typically do. And I gotta say, these gaskets are quite nice. They're almost nice enough to reuse, but that would be stupid. So I got some new ones. Hopefully they're as good as these, if not, you know, acceptable. Wow, they use some serious RTV. That is some real spongy stuff. I gotta find that, whatever that is. Maybe it's that right stuff or whatever. Either way, I gotta pull the valve covers off if I'm really gonna dive deep into this thing. I'll probably grab a t-shirt from the pile up here because I got full-on t-shirts, cut one in half and drape it over this thing when I'm waiting for parts. But that's all of it. Lifters are getting thrown away. I think the cam is probably going to get thrown away too because I don't want it. I don't care about it. Or, I don't know. I know guys at Waterford might still run these cams. I might sell it. Who knows? Maybe I'll take it and put them in cardboard boxes according to where they came out and make sure they go back in the right spot. Or maybe they'll just add new ones. Or maybe I won't even bother. Who the hell knows? But anyway, it might become scrap. But so this is what it looks like. Like I said, no bells, whistles, frills, and disassembly continues. So this is about as far as I got. I gotta wait for parts. I mean, I can't do a heck of a lot. I just gotta cover it up, and hopefully the mice don't decide to try to make homes in it right now, because that would be not so ideal. I haven't rolled it over because I want to do that safely. My parts should be in early next week, I'm hoping, because I don't know what I'm going to do for a video for you guys. I really like to do one a week, but man, it's been real tough lately, so it is what it is. You know, I can only do so much as one person, and especially in the wintertime when life is crazy and things just don't go the way I want it to. But we're going to get this thing finished come what May. So I just wanted to take a little bit of a break from this late model because, man, it's cold out. I hate it. You know, I really get demotivated working in the cold because who wants to work when they're freezing? Who wants to do anything when you're freezing? And with this place having no insulation and literally I got heat, but I got one of those forced air heaters, but you'd be turning it on every 10 minutes and it'd be a real pain. But like I said, we'll get it. It's just a matter of getting the right stuff. I don't want to put an oil system together without a gasket. You know what I mean? That would be bad. And I want as much oil pressure as possible because we don't need that going wrong too. So there's that. I got the cam, I got the lifters. I got to soak the lifters in oil. I'll probably do that before I walk out of the garage. I'll get a solo cup or a couple of them and just pour some 30 weight in it because I think that's all I got on the shelf. So let that soak for a bit and get into all the little orifices and stuff. So that'll take some time, but this isn't an easy process. It'll be a few days. So I'll see you whenever I get some parts in. So it's been like the better part of a week. I haven't been in the shop at all. I've been sick for like 4 or 5 days. We got absolutely hammered with snow and then rain. And the garage was mostly flooded. And so is my basement, which is great because it usually doesn't flood. And now it is. And now all the stuff in there is destroyed. So everything in here is fine. It's just pretty normal flooding, but I haven't been able to get a video out because I caught that stupid flu everybody had. So in the meantime, I was able to get a little bit more reliable pump shaft for the oil pump drive. And I also got this. I think the last time I left you, I had this taken off and we were looking at it. I had the front timing cover taken off. I had the oil pump off. I'd put this over it just because I wanted it to kind of make it dust-free. I know we got the intake off and stuff, but that was days ago. Now, I had mentioned before, do you put a gasket on the oil pump? And usually the answer is no, because you don't have to. It's usually a clean enough mating surface. You can tell on the block machining here, it's flat, it's clean, there's really nothing. Although I can see a little bit of imperfection here. You see that? In the light, how it glints. It's not quite perfect, and I get really weary about oil pressure stuff. And then you look at the aftermarket, and this is what you get. Yeah, it's flat, but you can see the machining marks, the tool marks, because obviously, well, they didn't do a very good job. And if I clean it up, you can see even less, but it's flat, but not clean. So my thought process was, why don't we get some of these that I drop everywhere? Very thin, very pure copper gaskets. And we could take them and just I don't know how they go. Maybe they go like this. Maybe. Somehow. I guess. I don't know. I'll take a look though. As soon as I ruin this one, I'll go get a new one. And I'll probably put this on with that, because that'll take up those tiny, tiny little imperfections. And I'm sure people are out there going, I shouldn't do that. Yeah, well, this ain't your motor, so you can run it with all the imperfections that you want and have a little bit less oil pressure or a leak or something there, or you can try something like this. I'm not saying it's something you should do. I'm just saying that's what I'm doing. So, pump drive goes there. Again, this is going to be a little bit spirited driving engine for that hot rod project I got. So I figured I'd spend the $15 and get a nice pump drive for it, because they come with a plastic piece around here that couples the drive to it like this. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't trust that. $15, and I was already ordering the gaskets, so it's not going to hurt. It really isn't. We're going to start throwing this back together. This is a stud that somebody put in, and I'm leaving. Not a big deal. So we'll get this back together. I want to get this at least mostly bolted in so that I can get back to the front. After rolling it over, we can start yanking the lifters and the cam out. So I got her back buttoned up underneath. Took me a minute because I forgot for a second before I put the oil pump back in that I had to put that little rod in before I put the oil pump in, because that little sleeve won't fit through the top. So I'm like, oh crap, so I had to put that back in. She's in there, and it can't come back out because it's metal now and it won't disconnect, so that's good. I'll make sure that's seated nice before we go back to go all the way, but I don't think it should fall apart. But either way, I got all the surfaces completely cleaned off. I didn't film any of the boring stuff because who really cares about watching me scrape gaskets? But that's what you want them to look like. Somebody, when they put this engine together, boy, it was not going to leak, because this thing had gasket sealer around everything. And then this was nice and thick, which was good. Gasket sealer behind all the actual gaskets. And I'm like, oh man, did that suck to really scrape out of there. But I apologize for my voice and my coughing, but the new gasket for the oil pan is pretty sweet. You can go to just Napa and pick up a Felpro one-piece gasket. It has a provision for a dipstick on either side, so it's universal, and it is thick, and it comes with the bolts and everything. They're like $41, but in my mind, it's well worth it. I'm not dealing with cork. It's such a pain. I like the one-piece stuff, even for street use. I don't care. It's just nicer. I got the cam gear off. I set it with, I think I took a adjustable wrench or something. Yeah. And I just kind of gently tightened her down on the end of the crank snout and used the keyway just to bump the engine back up into upright, which is where it is here. And it doesn't look like it because it's leaning, but we're at the point I got to take the valve covers off. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I think I have nicer ones over there that I can put on. Some nice Edelbrock ones that are like new old stock from the 70s or something. And we'll take these off. And we'll take the rockers off. And we'll pull the push rods out. We'll pull all the lifters out. And then we can finally yank the crank or the cam out. But I think that's all going to have to wait till tomorrow because I am exhausted. This is the first day in, well, it's Thursday. I've been sick since Sunday. Yeah, pretty much that entire time that I've been able to actually stand up and walk around. And I've done it all day and I'm exhausted. So I've just been able to start speaking again, which is nice. And I'm going to go find a red Solo cup or something and start, I think, soaking lifters because you really want to have them, at least some oil in them. I don't know how long the thing's going to sit, but that's kind of old practice, and maybe I'll throw some oil in it and prime it every once in a while. I don't know what I'm going to do with this thing. I don't want it to go bad, but I do want to use it soon. And if I get some oil in it, it won't rust, so that'll help too. Either way, I do have plans for it someday, but we'll see what happens with it. So I'll be back tomorrow, though. I'm going to go get some rest for tonight. It's the next day. Finally got some sleep. About to pull the lifters out because I got the rockers off. I did find something kind of interesting. You know, you got 2 rockers per cylinder, so that means 2 push rods, 2 lifters, things like that. I noticed that all of my push rods look like this. No name. It's got the length on it. And I think that's the alloy, but I'm not too sure what that number is. But only one of them was different. Like, one was a name brand. It was way over here on number 7. And all the rest of them were that no name brand. I have actually, on the shelf over there, I actually have a full set of like comp cams ones. So I figured maybe I'll just swap those out and keep those for reserves if I bust one or do something when I'm doing a burnout or something. Who knows? But anyway, a couple things I got to do. First off is I got to get these lifters out. But check them out. They're like gorgeous. Look at this thing. It's perfect. Right? And if you can't peel them out, you can always reach down here. There's a little knob on the end of the camshaft if you're trying to pull them out. And just kind of, you know, rotate it until you can get a finger on it. You don't need tools. Just pull it right out. Oh, yeah. These look great. See, this one's not... Oh, this one moved. Okay, I'll take this one out. Oh, yeah. You know, this was a nice motor. It's just too bad it's a 2-bolt main, but hey, for a street rod or a hot rod project or whatever, it's going to be perfect. Also, since I'm probably going to have to break in this cam because it is a hydraulic flat tappet, what I'll do is, while I got it apart, I'll just take these valve springs out because these are double valve springs from when we were racing this motor. And I'll probably put singles back in. A little heavier than stock, but, you know, just to... Because this thing can handle it. It's got studded rockers and stuff, but, like, I figured if I do that, it'll break in easier because you don't want to break a cam in with dual springs. You want soft springs to break it in. You're only going to be running it at, like, 2,000 RPM, 2,500 or less, 2,250, something like that. So, you don't want to go too crazy. So I figured we'll do that. I just wanted a little bit more, lift because, you know, you can put whatever you want in the street. But if you're building a built motor, which are pretty outdated nowadays, you can, you're kind of hampered by a lift rule and all sorts of other stuff. So that's why we all went to crate motors. So luckily, my crate's still in good shape, and I don't really have a use for these. But I'll keep going with this, and once I start pulling this out, you'll know about it. Camshaft time. I'm doing this kind of a rednecky way because, well, I don't have anything else I can use. I'm just going to use this little bolt that holds the cam gear on. Just kind of thread that in. Give her a tiny little pull. Again, you don't want to really gack this thing up. And you got to be really strong. There it goes. Until you can get a handle on it. Don't smash it. Don't yank on it. Don't bash it. You want it to get through the cam bushings and bearings very gently. Of course, when I go to put it back in, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to find a really long bolt because I don't, again, have a tool to do that properly. But here it comes. And there we go. All right, this profile, it's got some duration to her. The oil or the fuel pump eccentric looks good. It's got a little wipe on it right there from when you're in your downward stroke, because you can see it's kind of a big sloping, huge lobe on there. But yeah, this is a tiny little 390 410 cam. That was an old lift rule cam. Hey, if anybody wants it, they can have it. Come DM me. But I'm going to look in here, take a look-see at all these bearings, make sure that they're still good. And we're not going to change them because there's not a lot of laps on this thing. So I'm going to grab the other cam, saucer up, find a bolt. We'll be back. Kind of started without you, but I checked the cam bearings. They seem fine. They gave me some nice grease with this. No free ads. But don't be shy with the grease. Grease everything as heavily as you possibly can. Grease on these is going to help you from, yeah, I'm even getting the fuel pump eccentric, but that grease is going to keep you from a dry startup, which nobody likes their stick to be dry. So we make sure it's an extra layer of protection, and then when I go and I break in new engines, I typically, because this isn't my first cam install, if you look back, I think there's a video about an engine I built a few years ago to go to New Hampshire with. And I'm actually really careful, cautious, I should say, when it comes to lubricating an engine. I typically will prime the engine by putting an oil pump primer down the back of the engine where the pump drive is, where the distributor drops in. And I prime the motor until there's plenty of oil pressure, but I keep going. I let it prime for like a minute. Then what I do is I take a wrench and I put it on the crank of the engine and I roll the engine over until it's like 90 degrees, and then I prime it again for a minute, and then I go another 90 and I prime it again and I go another 90. And that way oil will get to every single thing that I possibly can. Alright, what looks not so perfect here. Alright, that is really greasy. So I'm going to get this as far in as I can go, very gently. Get out of here, grease. Easy. Oh yes, that way. Now we're going to add our bolt, which is literally a 3-foot piece of threaded rod that I found. It's a little overkill, but I bet you it'll work. I'm actively rust-proofing it at this moment. Oh yeah, straight in. Let me see if it goes all the way home here. Oh yeah, perfect. So there's your cam install. I'm going to get this stuff cleaned up, get the rock or lifters out, dump them in here, and then we're going to start just throwing them back in and go from there. I didn't have any red Solo cups or anything bigger than that in the shop, not in the shop or in the house or anything, so I had to get these. Just kind of, let's just leave those to sit like that. Oh, I got some on my gasket face. That's all right, we'll just wipe that off. These have been sitting overnight in 30 weight. So we're gonna start just kind of stabbing these in. Oh yeah, they fit nice. If you're gonna put a new cam in, you want to put new lifters and stuff in, because man, obviously that's a big no-no if you don't. So I'm gonna get these fired into each and every hole. Make sure they go cup side up, flat side down. See, flat side goes to camshaft, cup side to rocker. Well, push rod, which goes to rockers. This is going to be a giant mess getting all this stuff out of here, but luckily I got my oil pan on here. We're going to get that on. I'm going to do the front cam gear, cover, all that stuff, and then we'll be pretty much done. All right, progress report. I don't have enough battery to do long time lapses and stuff, but I got this on, front cover. It was kind of a pain. I had to try to loosen all the pan bolts and drop it down and try to finagle this thing into the lip of the gasket, and it sucks. Anyway, I got the balancer back on too by using old school redneck means. I just put a bolt in there with a washer and just kind of slowly tightened it with oil on the threads until it got deep enough I could keep stacking washers and make it bigger, and then the washers wouldn't sink in here. But I got that back on. Hopefully it doesn't leak. Now, I'm putting the intake back on. These gaskets I got are not exactly the gasket material itself is fine. It's just that they aren't long enough to hit these corners over here on the China walls. And I typically goop the water jackets, and I do the crossover too, just to hold the gasket in the middle. So we could just kind of stuff that thing on there like that, and that should hold it in place, at least for the time being, because there's going to be a lot more goop and a lot more swearing. But hopefully those will stay. We're gonna goop the heck out of these. Basically, we're gonna goop from this corner up here, give it about a 1/4 inch or however big it is, but really big, really thick as you can. Empty the damn tube. And we're gonna plonk the intake back down, and that'll be it. Hopefully. So there it is. I'm going to do the remainder of the valve work off camera because this is taking me long enough already. All I'm going to be doing is pulling the inner spring out of this thing anyway, make it more streetable so there's not so much valve spring pressure for when I eventually break this thing in and get it done. I'll have to put the rockers and my push rods back in it, but they're, sitting over here, so I'll put these used lifters away. Maybe I'll just hold on to them. If I need to redneck something back together, I can just say, oh, I got a collapsed lifter, and I'll just stick one back in there. And who knows? It's probably a bad thing to do, but whatever. But, the old race motor gets second life as a street motor when you can't use it for nothing else. So, hey, better to do this than to go to waste. So I figured it was I was going to say waste of money, but it's not. It's a good way to spend money instead of on race cars, I guess. Anyway, I think that's enough for today. And I took a little break from the racing stuff because this past week I was sick for, like I said, 5 days or something like that, or 4 days. And I had to spend a rather large amount of money on my house, and let's just put it this way, it's about twice as much as I spend on a season in the race car, and I have to put a brand new roof on my house. So that sucks. That sucks a lot, because that really kind of puts me in a huge bind now, to the point where I know I had to sell this car, but now it's like, now it has to go. So immediately. So if you're interested, hit me up. It's ACT legal. I'm going to be putting a body on it next, hopefully in the next video, because that shed needs to get cleaned out, and the body is currently in it, and this car is, well, let's see, it's ready for one. So I think it's time to put one in. But before that happens, I got to wheel this thing out of the way and clean up the giant mess that now encompasses my entire garage yet again, because that's what happens with every project, is you get dirty and messy, and well, everything goes to hell when you do it yourself. So anyway, it's been a rough few weeks, but we're back in the shop again, and thank you all so much for hanging in there, and hopefully this wasn't too boring or anything for you. And you know, I'm just trying to do things just to stay relevant, but that's hard now. So especially with now a whole lot of my money's gone. So yeah, it's hard to figure out what to do next. So well, I hope this was at least something for you to watch. But if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. It would help me immensely, because I would love to give you guys every ounce of my time and try to entertain and inform and learn along the way with you guys, as well as teach some of the lessons that I've gotten 20 plus years of racing and fabricating and DIYing literally everything that I do. Tell your friends if you think they'd enjoy something like this. DIY fabrication, racing, mechanics, engineering, carpentry. I don't know, sometimes I do that. Either way, amateur engine building. I don't know, last engine I put together blew a head gasket, so I don't know. So I don't know if that was my fault or if the machining wasn't very good and the heads weren't straight, but because I never checked that. So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. And until next time.